Join us at Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. Good afternoon. This is the Women of Courage show. I am Gloria Lee, your moderator. You and I shall begin an adventure today like no other. We are going to discuss human motivation in all of its forms. This show is being brought to you by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministry, an organization dedicated to the renewal of the human spirit. The Women of Courage show is the result of a 15-year study conducted by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries into the question of why men murder women. Women were being killed like flies for years, and there was no state nor national program to deal with this problem. Men have been buying, selling, and killing women for centuries with impunity. Men were taught by the Bible that they had the right to tell women what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. Women were put on this earth to service men. Is it not suspicious that the very book that teaches the enslavement of women was written by men? From a feminist point of view, it looks like the Bible is self-serving for men. The murders of women were being ignored by state governments, the judiciary, the prosecution, and the police, all institutions governed and controlled by men. This practice began to change in the late 1960s at the behest of women and the sacrifice of women. After a 15-year study, we got our answer why men kill women. This answer was not only unexpected, it was an answer that posed another question. How do we stop the killings? Because the answer to why men kill women demonstrated that the killing of women is highly profitable and enjoyable. How does one stop a practice that brings enjoyment to men? In this show, we shall attempt to give our audience sufficient information so that women can better protect themselves, thus reduce the number of women being raped and murdered in our community. What we say and the questions we pose to our audience may be at first antagonistic and uncomfortable, but listen with all your might, because these answers and problems not only affect you, they affect your children and your entire family. It is important that you listen to our broadcast more than once. If you do not want your children defined by poverty and ignorance, you need to listen well. Otherwise, prison and prostitution may await you and your children. Here are some of the things that we learned during our study. Number one, the weak must always be protected by the strong, even if that protection is in the form of the word no. Number two, God told man to choose life in his daily conduct. To do this, you must believe and you must stand up. Number three, a person must not let negative people and toxic relationships keep him or her from realizing their dreams. Those people that never change their mind never change anything. Again, you must be observant even unto your own behavior. You must believe that you can be a better person. You must stop doing what you're doing and decide on a better life. The drinking, the smoking, the snorting coke, lusting after someone else's boyfriend or husband, and sexing every chance you get signifies you have no respect for yourself or your children. You have given up. You do not know how to manage your life. Number 8, self-esteem plays a mighty role in the life and death of a person. Number 9, a person must learn to recognize fear in himself or herself and learn how to deal with that fear. You have a better results when you meet fear head on, especially if you're prepared for it. Number 10, Learn to walk away from an argument, but never turn your back to your opponent or take your eyes off of him or her. It is from these 10 points that we shall shape our discussion on our shows. During our shows, we are going to ask the question, how low are you going to go before you change? Your children will not survive if you do not change. Take a good look at your children. They will not have a future if you do not change. Are you not tired of seeing black boys and men being carted off to prison for lack of knowledge and opportunity? Are you not tired of seeing black women standing on the corner prostituting? Are you not tired of envying other people, saying to yourself, I wish that were me? Stop fantasizing. Stop being ashamed because you are poorly educated and afraid or you think you're unattractive. Stand up and change your life. Change is hard and change is difficult, but why die expressing regret? You can change regardless of your age if you so desire. You must believe that you can reinvent yourself. You can stand up and become a woman of courage. Throughout our show, we shall discuss some very uncomfortable subjects such as sex trafficking, rape, murder, jealousy, fear, self esteem, envy, and rage. Oh, yes, rage is a common characteristic of women. It is just not talked about. Be prepared because we are discussing these subjects so you will examine your own behavior as it relates to these topics. Self examination is not easy. In fact, it's one of the most difficult things a person has to do in their life. We must constantly examine ourselves when we relate to people at home and at work. In some situations, we're going to suggest you seek professional counseling. Some people need a professional to help them turn their lives around. Never feel ashamed to seek help. You are valuable. When you stand up and seek professional help, you are telling yourself that you are valuable. You are willing to spend money on your self improvement. Artificial nails and wigs will not cut it when it comes to self esteem and living a better life. We found a major component in rape and murder is the human condition of self esteem. Your self esteem will either help you engage during a battle or run from life in fear, depositing yourself in a bottle or ingesting narcotics. During our show, we are going to suggest several books to give you the tools to fight for your life and to build your self esteem. You are never to give up on yourself. If you feel it or desire it or are afraid of it, then you can find that subject in a book. The answer to a thought or the idea is in a book. You just have to find the right book and read it. But here is one important key. I want you to pay close attention to what I'm saying. Listen to this sentence well. If you find yourself alone without a friend in sight, this is a fine time to re-examine your life because you have been left behind. I'm going to say this again. If you find yourself alone without a friend in sight, this is a fine time for you to re-examine your life because you have been left behind. The most salient question here is why? Why did people you encountered in your life leave you behind? Stop talking and listen. Stop talking with and for your buddy. Talk for yourself from your heart and brain, not from someone else's brain and voice. When you answer the question why I was left behind, then maybe you can turn your life around. Remember, there is always a woman or a man out there searching for someone to love and to share a life with. Your goal is to get you to become involved in shaping your life, and maybe you can find that person who is searching for you. Listen to what I'm saying. Up until this moment, you have not been involved in shaping your life. You have been allowing other people to shape your life. You have been listening to what they have to say, and then you have been responding to what they've had to say. I want you to start actively shaping your life. Stop listening to all the loudmouth people around you. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Now for my break. Dear listeners, help us save a life. Stop breast cancer from taking lives. Will you assist us in putting the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer in the hands of a million people? Please go to the website www.touchedbythelight.us and download the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer. Then email this booklet to 5 friends, asking them to email the booklet to 5 of their friends. We are trying to reach a million women with this information to save lives. The death of one woman to breast cancer from our community is one woman too many. We thank you for your support.
Oftentimes, fear is defined as fantasized experiences appearing real. We all fear something. It could be doing what's never been done, or being scared for no just cause. These fears hold us down and create a fantasized, albeit unreal, experience. If you must move ahead in life, you must stand up to your fear. If you must be successful, you must pull through the unreal experiences that fear has created in you. And trust me, you need a good dose of courage to do exactly that. With courage, there's no stopping you. How can you summon the courage to face your fears? As a woman, you're amazing and you have great capabilities. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. How then can you maximize these great capabilities? As you'll find out in the series Women of Courage, the women we wrote about succeeded against all odds simply by standing up for themselves. Just like them, you can make your life count too.
You can find the series Women of Courage at www.touchedbythelight.us.
Every year, thousands of books are written on how to achieve our dreams, how to live a happier life, or make a lot of money. Yet, the number of people living unhappy lives keeps going up. People living a life of uncertainty, a life of despair. What could be the problem? Were the books lying about these promises, or were people not practicing what they read? You see, the truth is that most times we know exactly what we want out of life, and we often know how to get there. So, what is the missing link? It's the courage to take that first step, to go from where we are right now to the life of freedom and fulfillment we so much desire. We must first leave our comfort zone, and it takes courage to make that move. And that is exactly where all those books failed. They tell you what you should do, but can't get you to take that first step. A wise man once said, "Without courage, you can't leave your comfort zone. If you don't leave your comfort zone, you can't grow. If you can't grow, you can't be your best. And if you can't be your best, you can't be happy."
You can find the series Women of Courage at www.touchedbythelight.us.
If you have reached a point where you are stuck, having a sense of tiredness, coming from seeing all of your dreams and visions of success get obscured with the lack of experience, guidance, and knowledge necessary for success, learning from Women of Courage may be the most important thing you've read this year. Living a passionate life in a hectic and busy 21st century is getting increasingly harder. Women of Courage series will provide you with all the inspiration, courage and role model you need to get inspired and take your life in your hands and start living as bravely, as passionate as you deserve.
You can find the series Women of Courage at www.touchedbythelight.us.
Why are only a few women in history books? Why are women left out of leadership positions? Why are 21st century women struggling with the same issues that 20th century women fought against? The series Women of Courage gives answers to these questions. Millions of women all over the world are living in fear, unhappy, and unfulfilled, wishing they could do more with their lives. If you are one of these women, fearful and unhappy, take the bold step and purchase the series Women of Courage. Read and learn how other women met these challenges and succeed in living fulfilling lives. Read the series Women of Courage and learn how you can change your life forever. Women of Courage is an inspirational book that seeks to tell the stories of strong women who have persevered, even when those threatened by a woman's strength have stood in the way. It's a book for all women, a book to help more of us stand up and say, it's about time. It's a book for you. Get your copy from touchedbythelight.us.
We live in a society that has created an impression that a woman is limited in what she can do. The society lets you see yourself as a weaker human who should not aspire to greater things. Most of us grew up with that mentality and thus turned out to be unambitious. Good news is there are a lot of women out there, just like you, who have turned their lives around dramatically. Women like Mother Teresa, Lucy Burns, and Rosa Parks. There's one underlying factor common to all these women: courage. They were courageous in the face of societal intimidation. They were courageous enough to move against societal norms that were unacceptable to them. They were courageous when it mattered, most thus writing their standards in the sands of time. Purchase the Women of Courage series today at http://touchedbythelight.us or mail a check to P.O. Box 7267, Ann Arbor, Michigan 48107.
When I was young, my mother had a habit of always asking me, "Why are you talking?" Normally I would say to her, "Well, Junior said so and so and so and so," or "Eileen said so and so and so and so." But my mother would turn and look at me and say, "But why are you talking?" What she was saying is, just because someone is making a point or just because someone says something does not mean you have to respond. I am saying to you, just because someone makes a comment about your life or what you're supposed to do does not mean you have to respond. If you are going to respond, what you should say to yourself is, "Why are you telling me this? Why aren't you taking your own advice? And why aren't you managing your life instead of participating in mine?" People run around in circles for a lifetime because they continue to listen to someone else's opinion. You must learn to read so you can develop methods of how to think. Now, I want you to listen to this. I say this because many of you are so busy multitasking that you miss important cues when you communicate with others. That's why I say I want you to listen and pay attention. I want you to imagine yourself walking down the street and you have 3 bottles in a sack, and you encounter a man with 10 bottles in his sack. They are pretty bottles. They're colorful bottles. He has bottles like no other, and they're not like the plain bottles you have in your sack. He has bottles that anyone would want. Now here's a question. Would you follow this man to find out how he got his 10 bottles while you have only 3? Now imagine yourself walking down the street with a sack of 3 bottles, and you encounter a man walking down the street with no bottles in his sack. Would you follow this man to learn where he got his bottles from? Actually, you can't follow him to learn where he got his bottles from. Why? Because he doesn't have any bottles. Yet, this is exactly what you have been doing all of your life. You have been following men who have no bottles in their sack because you have been paying attention to what they say and not what they do. This is why you got left behind, because you did not seek knowledge from those who have knowledge. You were impressed by the loudmouth person rather than being impressed by results. You do not listen to what a man or woman says. You watch what they do and how they do it and examine the results of their action. You must learn how to take the measure of a man's life. Now, when you're walking down the street with your sack of bottles, that actually represents you're going to the marketplace. The marketplace is where you show your talent so you can get a job, so you can buy furniture, buy a car, take care of your children, etc. Well, if you go to the marketplace and you do not know how to get some more bottles, you fail as a man. I don't care what you say. Men measure themselves by their employment. When you talk to a man, he doesn't say, I'm the father of Jonah. He says, I'm a banker, I'm an employer, I'm a beautician, I'm a whatever. He talks about himself with respect to what he does to earn money. The last thing he says is, I'm the husband of Stephanie. Now, some idiot without any bottles is going to tell you selling dope or selling women is the way to get some more bottles. But you must be smart and not listen to what this person says, but watch what they do. When these men get apprehended, the first thing that happens is they can't afford an attorney. They have to take a court-appointed attorney. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that the man wasn't very successful. If one wants to stay out of prison, a man goes and purchases the best lawyer in town. And he's able to make that purchase because he has money. No money, then you have to settle for a court-appointed attorney. Later in some of my shows, I'm going to have you watch a video of a man who pimped women for 10 years. And he walked in court as if he was the most smartest person in the world, when actually this man was stupid. The only thing that kept him going was his brutality, not that he was so smart. I'm also going to show you some stupid dope dealers. As you're going through life, some of your friends are going to recommend going to church and listening to the choir. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Just going to church and listening to the choir is not cutting it. You are not getting anywhere. You need to change what you are doing. Attend our meetings and learn how to change. Find out what you must do to win. The first thing you must do to win is start reading and never stop reading. Believe me, you can learn a great deal from just reading a history book. The second thing you need to do to win is to get rid of all the toxic relationships in your life. I don't care if the toxic relationship is your mother. The third thing you need to do to win is to join our meetings. Help us help others. When we work together, we win. I want to get the homeless off the streets. I want to teach math to children. I want to improve the working skills that black men have so they can become employed. You can help me. Email me for the dates and times of our meetings. Be part of something larger than yourself. Above all, the Women of Courage show is for the woman and man who wants to change his or her life for the better. If you are dissatisfied with your life, then you need to change. Spend some time thinking about who you want to be, then establish a plan to get there and strive to be that person. Do not go to your grave unhappy with your life. Anything in this life you want, you can obtain. You just have to believe in yourself. You are strong, you are beautiful, and you are resilient. You are what we call the woman of courage. Your time is now. There are no victims in this life. So I'm asking you, are you ready to make a change? Are you ready to fight for what you want? Are you ready to fight for your dream? If you are, it starts now. This is the time to be a woman of courage. Visit our website at touchedbythelight.us and read some of the articles there. Remember, the worst personal crisis in the world is to reach age 50 with no spring in your step. Malcolm X said, without education, you're not going anywhere in this world. And President Barack Obama said, we are the change that we seek. So the question is, are you the change you seek? I have taken it upon myself to be the moderator for the show Women of Courage. Because of this, I owe you, as my listener, to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Just like you want to know that the man or woman teaching you calculus at the university is qualified to do so, you need to know my bonuses when talking to you. I am a Vietnam vet. I joined the military because I did not have money to attend college. I worked two jobs for more than 16 years. I have driven the highway at night with my child in the car. I have taken my child to work because I could not afford a babysitter. I have lived in my house without heat during the winter because I couldn't afford to pay for gas. We lived in the kitchen because I had an electric stove where I could put water on the burner to heat the room. I am the only person in this country who has researched the murders of 20,000 American women and 1,500 foreign women. I have written 30 books. I am a good friend, but I will not sleep with, walk with, eat with, or talk to anyone who is essentially different than me. I believe in keeping my mouth shut. I do not believe in fornication or dating married men. I am an ordained minister, but my purpose is not to indoctrinate people, but to put the Bible to use as a means to teach ethics and morality. I am moderating this show to give those that need it the benefit of my mind and wisdom. I am a damn good problem solver. Because of the mass incarceration and deaths due to the intakes of drugs, many children are being raised without their parents. Many children are living in group homes, so they do not get the benefit of their mother's wisdom. I believe my show will be helpful to these people. I have been homeless. I lived with my child in my car for 2 years. During this time, my child attended the best high school in the country. That is correct. While I was homeless, my child attended the best high school in the country, and no one at his school knew we were homeless. Every day I took my child to school, I dodged the Bloomfield police because I was driving without insurance. I made certain that my child learned to read. I made certain that my child was accepted at the university. My child is now a successful human being. I have contemplated suicide. I was a foreign aid worker in Malaysia and Borneo. I lost more than 60 pounds working in these countries because I could not eat the food. I ate rice and bean sprouts. When I talk to you about murder, betrayal, adultery, it is because I have spent years researching these subjects, and I am dedicated in helping people live healthy and safer lives. The show is entitled Women of Courage, but the topics discussed are for both men and women because men inevitably are fathers, brothers, husbands, and friends. I have one warning for those men with what they call a side chick. I caution you because your behavior can get your wife or children killed. Adultery is not a game. I have written a small primer for do's and don'ts for young people. I hand this out at my meetings. The booklet is free. Start living your life with a purpose. You do not have to live a life that you're leading. You can learn to change to bring happiness and wealth into your life. We shall discuss hundreds of issues to help you change the way you are thinking, and to learn to problem solve. All you have to do is believe in yourself and change will come. God bless you. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break.
Are you sick and tired of being you? Do you want another life, a second chance? Then it's time to change. It's time for you to find out who you are. It's time for you to stand up for yourself. It's time for you to think for yourself. It's time to rid your mind of poisonous beliefs like women should only be seen and not heard. It's time for you to learn how other women accomplished their goals. For more information regarding women of courage and to be among the countless women learning to manage the challenges, limitations, and rejections of life, go to https://touchedbythelight.us.
We live in a society that has created an impression that a woman is limited in what she can do. The society lets you see yourself as a weaker human who should not aspire to greater things. Most of us grew up with that mentality and thus turned out to be unambitious. Good news is there are lots of women out there just like you who have turned their lives around dramatically. There's one underlying factor common to all these women: courage. They were courageous in the face of societal intimidation. They were courageous enough to move against societal norms that were unacceptable to them. They were courageous when it mattered most, thus writing their names in the sands of time. Reading the series Women of Courage is a good place to learn about the significant role courage plays in achieving great things in life.
You can find the series Women of Courage at www.touchedbythelight.us.
Why you should read Women of Courage. The book will inspire you to begin your life again. Read how females took courage to live exemplary lives, even though most were from humble backgrounds. The books teach the importance of courage in achieving the great things of life. The books motivate you to look beyond those things you think you couldn't do. The books give you the insight into your innate abilities that your fears have suppressed. There is no greater feeling than creating a new you.
You can find the series Women of Courage at www.touchedbythelight.us. Remember, if you miss one of our shows, you can visit our YouTube channel at Touched by the Light Publishing to watch and listen to previous episodes of Women of Courage. In support of the proposition of the Women of Courage show, I would like for you to listen to the following 2 10-minute motivational speeches by Denzel Washington. The speeches are entitled Denzel Washington's Life Advice Will Leave You Speechless and Put God First. These speeches received more than 18 million views on YouTube. We believe Mr. Washington's speeches support the effort of the Women of Courage show and explain why we try to broadcast encouraging messages to our audience weekly.
Without commitment, you'll never start, but more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson, P. Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Michael T. Williamson, no Stephen McKinley Henderson, no Russell Hornsby. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.
We tend to base our self-esteem on what other people think. And that's not really self-esteem. Self-esteem is supposed to be how we feel about ourselves. And I was just saying how dangerous it is to allow other people to determine how you're going to feel about you. And it's kind of like looking into a broken mirror. You're going to look in a broken mirror and then change your face to try to look good in this defiled, busted, broken mirror. And it just, other people's opinions is a really shitty way to determine how we feel about ourselves.
You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. Now, I've been blessed to make hundreds of millions of dollars in my life. I can't take it with me, and neither can you. So it's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you have. And we all have different gifts. Some money, some love, some patience, some the ability to touch people, but we all have it. Use it, share it. That's what counts. Not what you're driving, not what you're flying in, not what kind of house you bought your mama. Dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. Goals on the road to achievement cannot be achieved without discipline and consistency. I pray that you all put your shoes way under the bed at night so that you gotta get on your knees in the morning.
The one thing I'm the most happy about in terms of my career is the fact that I got there with the grace of God, first of all, but short of that, I got there just by working hard, not partying with the right people, not compromising myself in any way or cutting any kind of deals, just by working hard, just by plugging along, sawing wood, as I like to call it. I'm a 20-year overnight sensation. I don't get life mixed up with making a living. I was there for all 4 of my children being born. When the first one was born, I recognized the difference between life and making a living. Their life, you know, our family is life. You know, acting is making a living.
Well, what do you think the biggest difference between doing a play and doing, I mean, it's a cliched question, but I'd be interested to know your answer.
I think a part of what Viola just said is that you get to dig deeper and you get another day.
Right.
And you get the energy. Mm-hmm. You do a movie and it's 200 people that are used to it and they don't care and everybody's doing their job and it comes in a theater somewhere and you're picking your nose at home somewhere, clipping your nails. There's no energy.
Right.
When I was on Broadway 5 years ago with Julius Caesar, I made a decision to sign autographs every night. I don't know what I did. Oh, yeah, it ain't happening this time, no. Only as I rub my knees, only because my knees are bad, it's hard for me to stand. But.
And why did you decide to do that?
Well, you know, I wanted to say thank you. It was my way of saying thank you. And the first night, it was like 5,000 people out there. I said, okay, wait a minute. Everybody who has playbills from our show. So, yeah, because it was like people were just wandering up the block. I was like, wait a minute. I forgot I'm on, 42nd Street, Times Square. I was like, wait a minute. But honestly.
You were signing for weeks.
The energy. And I was out there an hour and a half every night, every show. But the energy you got back, the stories, the 5 little old ladies who just drove in from Detroit. And I'm like, well, what y'all doing tonight? They said, we're getting back in the car, baby. We got to go back tonight. Wow. And, a little 84-year-old lady was like, baby, if I was 3 years younger. Oh, true story. True story. Then we had, and I say this also, because I hope it happens with this play. We had some high schools come. We had one school from somewhere, I forgot where, and they were doing Julius Caesar. And some young kid was like, well, you know, my Brutus is a bit different. He's more the classic stoic. But it was great to engage and exchange with these young people. There was an energy. I got more from it than I gave to the people that I signed for. That's, you know, you don't get that. You know, the odd thing about success in film is the budgets get bigger, you make more money, but they become more formulaic. Yes. So you don't get the opportunity. So God willing, if I stay around long enough, this is what I'm going to be doing.
You know, you're always affected by opinion, but the more opinions there are of you, of me, the less I look at them, because I just can't live my life based upon what other people think about me. So I can't concern myself too much with what other people think. You know, it's just not healthy. I don't think I could continue to do what I do if I was constantly worrying about what somebody thought about it.
And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
You don't have to compromise yourself. You know, if there's something you don't feel good about, then don't do it. The most important choices I've made was to say no. And I've said no many a time to films that I just didn't, especially early on, I just didn't feel comfortable with. There was one script that was brought to me, I called it the they couldn't kill. Because they were like, he was accused of raping his wife in the 40s, and they tried to hang him, but he didn't die. And they tried to electrocute him, and they were like, it's a comedy. I'm like, it ain't funny to me. So I actually called Sidney Poitier, who I was fortunate at that time to be able to call. And I said, you know, this movie, I'm sick. And they offered me $600,000 to play the they couldn't kill. That's what I called it. I wasn't there. And he said to me, and I'll say this to you, he said, the first 2 or 3 or 4 films you make in this industry, Denzel, will determine how you proceed. He said, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but remember that the first 3 or 4 or 5 films you made will determine how you proceed. I turned it down. I turned the money down. I needed the money. I turned it down. 6 months later, I got Cry of Freedom. So stick to your guns. If you don't feel like you should do it, then don't do it. Because you don't want to be, you don't want to be a negative energy on the set. That's how I feel. So I'm like, I ain't doing this because I'm gonna slap somebody the second day. So I just, it's something. I think the most important decisions you can make as an actress, is saying no. Is saying no. You don't have to take your clothes off. If you don't want to, then don't do it.
Number 1, put God first. Put God first in everything you do. Everything that you think you see in me, everything that I've accomplished, everything that you think I have, and I have a few things, everything that I have is by the grace of God. Understand that. It's a gift. In everything you do, if you think you want to do what you think I've done, then do what I've done. You've invested a lot in your education, and people have invested in you. And let me tell you, the world needs your talents. Man, does it ever. The world needs a lot, and we need it from you. We really do. We need it from you young people. I mean, I'm not speaking for the rest of us up here, but I know I'm getting a little grayer. We need it from you, the young people, because remember this. So you got to get out there. You got to give it everything you got, whether it's your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures. Because remember this, you will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You can't take it with you. The Egyptians tried it, and all they got was robbed. So the question is, what are you going to do with what you have? I'm not talking about how much you have. Some of you are business majors, some of you are theologians, nurses, sociologists. Some of you have money, some of you have patience, some of you have kindness, some of you have love. Some of you have the gift of long suffering, whatever it is, whatever your gift is. What are you going to do with what you have? Fail big. That's right. Fail big. Today's the beginning of the rest of your life, and it can be very frightening. It's a new world out there. It's a mean world out there, and you only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals. Life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. I try to give myself a goal every day. Sometimes it's just to not curse somebody out. Simple goals, but have goals. And understand that to achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. In order to achieve your goals, you must apply discipline, which you have already done, and consistency every day, not just on Tuesday and miss a few days. You have to work at it every day. You have to plan every day. You've heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Hard work works. Working really hard is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Remember that. Just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress. My mother told me, she said, yeah, because you can run in place all the time and never get anywhere. So continue to strive, continue to have goals, continue to progress. I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, there is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living. Now, I'm sure in your experiences in school and applying to college and picking your major and deciding what you want to do with life, I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you got something to fall back on, honey. But I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything except my faith. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. fall forward. This is what I mean. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Because the 1,001st was the light bulb. Fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You've got to take risks, and I'm sure you've probably heard that before, but I want to talk to you about why that's so important. I got 3 reasons, and then you can pick up your iPhones. First, you will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. And I know that's probably not a traditional message for a graduation ceremony, but hey, I'm telling you, embrace it, because it's inevitable. And I should know. In the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. Perfect role for me, I thought, except for the fact that I can't sing. I didn't get the job. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition, and the next audition, and the next audition. I prayed. I prayed, and I prayed. But I continued to fail, and fail, and fail. But it didn't matter, because you know what? There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. Someone talked about it. Won the Tony Award. And I didn't have to sing, by the way. But here's the kicker. It was at the Court Theater. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. The point is, and I'll pick up the pace, the point is, every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? Here's my second point about failure. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. Les Brown's a motivational speaker. He made an analogy about this. He says, imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the ideas you never acted on. The ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They say, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes? Not only take risks, but to be open to life, to accept new views, and to be open to new opinions, to be willing to speak at a commencement at one of the best universities in the country, even though you're scared stiff. While it may be frightening, it will also be rewarding. Because the chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, the faith that you have, that's what's going to define you. Never be discouraged. Never hold back. Give everything you got. And when you fall throughout life, and remember this, fall forward. Say thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for parents. Thank you for love. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for humility. Thank you for peace. Thank you for prosperity. Say thank you in advance for what's already yours. It's how I live my life. That's why I am, one of the reasons why I am today. Say thank you in advance for what is already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. I'll say it again. True desire in the heart, that itch that you have, whatever it is you want to do, that thing that you want to do to help others and to grow and to make money, that desire, that itch, that's God's proof to you, sent beforehand already to indicate that it's yours. And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
Women of Courage show broadcast every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. Please remember, if you are not in your car or near a radio during our broadcast, we can be seen and heard on your computer if you go to tv33whpr.com. Again, tv33whpr.com. We can also be heard on your phone if you download the free app WHPR TV Detroit Live, or listen to us on Roku at WHPR TV Detroit Live 88.1 FM. If you missed one of our broadcasts, you can view our archive on YouTube at the Touched by the Light Publishing channel. Twice a month, on Saturday, I meet with my listeners for a discussion about issues affecting women. Please join us. For dates, times, and directions, you can reach us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. Stop thinking there is nothing you can do to change the world. Your life is important. You need to come out and join us and give a voice to our concerns. For more information on our subjects or our books, you can email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. We enjoy your listening to the Women of Courage show at WHPR every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. And we support your local hairstylist. Do not forget to go to touchedbythelight.us website and download a copy of the booklet, Black Women and Breast Cancer. This is very important information, and we would appreciate it if you email a copy of this booklet to 5 other women. We are trying to reach 1 million people with this booklet. Help us reach our goal. Thank you for listening to Women of Courage, and have a great